History made. Chicago-born Robert Francis Prevost becomes Pope Leo XIV, the first American ever to lead the Catholic Church. What will this former Peru missionary and Vatican insider bring to St. Peter's throne? White Smoke delivers daily bulletins tracking this unprecedented pontificate as it unfolds. Will Leo XIV continue Francis's inclusive vision or forge a new path blending American pragmatism with Latin American experience? And what does his papal name choice signal about his priorities? White Smoke. Essential daily insights where ancient tradition meets modern challenge. New episodes every day wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey folks, Garrett Fisher here. I need to tell you about this absolutely mind-blowing podcast, Acting President, that's been keeping me up at night. It's about James Bennett, a former governor starring in a hit Sunday night TV show about overthrowing the government, and then his actual former chief of staff approaches him to do it for real. The line between fiction and reality completely disappears when these course correction rallies start popping up everywhere. Is it brilliant marketing or something more sinister? The parallels are insane. Trust me, this is the political thriller you didn't know you needed in your life. Acting President, available now wherever you find podcasts.
Feeling overwhelmed by negative news? 5 Good News Stories is your daily dose of what's going right in the world. Like the 103-year-old granny who got caught speeding in her sports car because she was living life to the fullest, or the family who found their missing cat after 3 years when it showed up at their vacation rental. Remember Flop the penguin's incredible comeback after his injury? And that guy who broke the world record for most high fives in 24 hours while raising money for charity? These are the stories that remind us the world is still full of wonder and joy. 5 Good News Stories. Pure positivity 3 times a week. 5 Good News Stories, available wherever you get your podcasts. 5 Good News Stories.
Calaroga Shark Media.
Pope Leo XIV will deliver the traditional Sunday Angelus blessing from the window of the Apostolic Palace overlooking St. Peter's Square. This marks his first public Angelus as Pope. When Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost stepped onto the balcony and announced he would be called Leo, he became the 14th pontiff in history to choose that name. But why Leo? What does the name mean? And what weight does it carry for a man now tasked with leading the world's 1.4 billion Catholics? This is White Smoke. To understand the name Leo is to understand the continuity of the Church itself. It is one of the oldest and most prestigious papal names. Derived from the Latin word for lion, Leo suggests strength, courage, and authority, an image that the Church has long associated with both Christ and his representatives on earth. A lion roars, a lion leads, a lion guards the flock. The name may also recall another symbol, the Lion of St. Mark, often used in Christian iconography to represent vigilance, justice, and the proclamation of the gospel. It is not a name for the timid, but the historical resonance is even more powerful. The most famous bearer of the name was Leo the Great, Pope Leo I, who reigned from the year 440 to 461. He was the first pope to be called the Great, and one of only 2 to officially carry that distinction. During his papacy, Leo defined much of what it meant to be pope. He centralized papal authority, he insisted on the primacy of the Bishop of Rome, and he confronted Attila the Hun, literally meeting him at the gates of Italy and persuading him to turn back. That alone would have earned him a place in church law. But Leo I also left a deep theological legacy. His Tome of Leo helped shape the definition of Christ's dual nature at the Council of Chalcedon. He was a lion in every sense of the word. Other Leos followed, and while none quite matched the grandeur of the first, some came close. Leo III, who crowned Charlemagne as Holy Roman Emperor in 800, helped usher in the Carolingian Renaissance and reinforced the Pope's role in shaping Western political order. Leo X, famously a Medici, presided over the Church during the start of the Protestant Reformation. He was more a Renaissance prince than a reformer, known for artistic patronage and opulence, but also remembered for underestimating Martin Luther's challenge. His papacy helped precipitate one of the greatest schisms in Christian history. More recently, Leo the 13th, who reigned from 1878 to 1903, attempted to guide the Church into the modern world. He is best known for his encyclical Rerum Novarum, which laid the foundations of Catholic social teaching. In that document, he defended the rights of workers, criticized both unrestrained capitalism and socialism, and called for the dignity of labor to be respected by employers and governments alike. It was a milestone moment in Catholic thinking about justice and society. Leo the 13th was nearly 93 when he died, still the oldest pope in history, and his longevity was matched by his intellectual output. He issued 85 encyclicals. He was no firebrand, but he shaped the Church's path for the 20th century. There's another way to view the name Leo, through the lens of personality and style. None of the Leos were shrinking violets. They were popes who projected authority. They dealt with conflict head-on. And whether their reigns were defined by diplomacy, doctrine, or crisis, they embraced the idea that the Bishop of Rome is more than a spiritual figure. He is also a leader in the visible world. That makes the name especially intriguing in the hands of Pope Leo XIV, a man known for humility and restraint. Friends and former colleagues describe him as quiet, deliberate, and intensely pastoral. In Peru, he often traveled to remote villages alone, listening to lay people, empowering local clergy, and building trust through presence rather than proclamation. In Rome, as prefect of the dicastery for bishops, he played a central but behind-the-scenes role in one of the most important offices in the Vatican. He was not known for giving interviews or courting the spotlight. Choosing the name Leo might suggest that he intends to grow into the role. It might also indicate a desire to invoke the moral clarity and institutional strength associated with earlier Leos, particularly Leo the Great and Leo the 13th. Both guided the Church through cultural upheaval. Both left behind frameworks for doctrine and leadership that endured well beyond their lifetimes. Pope Leo XIV may be signaling that he intends to do the same. It's also possible that the name reflects a certain continuity with Pope Francis. While Francis chose his name in honor of St. Francis of Assisi, signaling humility, reform, and care for the poor, he also emphasized the role of the Pope as a bridge builder. Leo XIV, by invoking one of the most commanding names in papal history, may be quietly reminding the Church that strength and service can coexist. There is, of course, no official doctrine on papal names. Each pope is free to choose whatever name he wishes, but the decision is never casual. It's an early act of identity, one of the first personal choices a new pope makes, and one that signals intention. For many observers, the name also invites speculation. Is this a Leo of action? A Leo of doctrine? A Leo of quiet authority? It's too early to tell, but the choice has already shaped perceptions. In interviews with clergy and Vatican analysts since the announcement, one theme emerges: surprise, but also curiosity. Few had predicted the name Leo. Many assumed the next pope would choose something modern, or at least neutral. The return to a name last used over 120 years ago defies that expectation. It reaches back into a deep well of church history, even as Leo XIV prepares to face distinctly modern challenges. We don't yet know how the new pope will lead, but we know how he sees himself, or at least how he wants to be seen. As a Leo, names in the Catholic Church carry a sacramental resonance. Baptismal names, confirmation names, religious names, all of them reflect mission, identity, and calling. The name Leo XIV situates this pope within a legacy, not only of the 13 men who came before him, but of the Church's long story of strength in service. If he's anything like the Leos of the past, Pope Leo XIV will approach the papacy with a mix of theological rigor, institutional savvy, and moral conviction. If he charts his own course, as each pope must, he may also redefine what the name means for a new century. Either way, the name Leo once again rings out from the balcony of St. Peter's. A lion has returned to the throne of Peter. When Vatican bells announced Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost's selection as the first American pope in history, perhaps no one was more stunned than his older brother, watching from a quiet Midwestern suburb. Despite hearing predictions just days earlier, John Prevost, 71, revealed his brother had flatly rejected papal speculation during their final pre-conclave conversation. He said, "No way, not going to happen." The retired educator recounted from his living room in New Lenox, Illinois, now surrounded by news vans and ringing phones. The brothers' journey from modest Chicago area beginnings to a historic Vatican appointment represents an extraordinary American story unfolding across continents. The newly minted Pope Leo XIV grew up alongside John in Dalton, Illinois, their childhood shaped by their father's career in education administration and their mother's dedication to library services and Catholic parish involvement. Speaking candidly about the man behind the papal title, John painted a portrait of a compassionate leader driven by concern for marginalized communities. He has great desire to help the downtrodden and the disenfranchised, the people who are ignored, John explained, suggesting continuity with papal priorities established under Francis. The best way I could describe him right now is that he will be following in Francis' footsteps. They were very good friends. They knew each other before he was pope, before my brother even was bishop. Despite ascending to Catholicism's highest office, Pope Leo XIV maintained simple personal habits according to his brother. He's simple, really. He's not going to go out for a 19-course meal, John noted, mentioning his brother's extended stay at his Illinois home just months ago. While characterizing the new pontiff as politically moderate, John predicted his sibling would leverage his platform on issues of personal conviction. "I don't think he'll stay quiet for too long if he has something to say," John asserted. "I know he's not happy with what's going on with immigration. I know that for a fact. How far he'll go with it is only one's guess, but he won't just sit back. I don't think he'll be the silent one." The future pope's attitude toward potential elevation evolved gradually according to his brother. "It was absolutely not, God forbid," John recalled. And then it became, "Well, if it's what God wants, then we'll deal with it."
There's always something brewing behind palace walls, whether it's Prince Harry and Meghan Markle making headlines from afar, or Prince William and Princess Catherine quietly preparing for the future throne. I'm Mark Francis, and on Palace Intrigue, we cover every twist, turn, whisper, and wink. From royal drama to daily gossip, follow Palace Intrigue wherever you get your podcasts.
In Washington, D.C., power flows through information. But what happens when the most sensitive military intelligence in the world ends up on the wrong phone? In the halls of power, a national security advisor makes a fatal miscalculation. On the other side of the world, a special forces team walks into a perfectly orchestrated trap. When the dust settles, 4 American soldiers are dead, 3 more captured. And the most catastrophic intelligence breach in modern history is just beginning to unravel. Signal Lost, a 6-part podcast thriller about betrayal, courage, and the devastating consequences of a world where even our most guarded communications are never truly secure. When everyone is listening, nowhere is safe. Signal Lost. Available wherever you get your podcasts.
Feeling overwhelmed by negative news? 5 Good News Stories is your daily dose of what's going right in the world. Like the 103-year-old granny who got caught speeding in her sports car because she was living life to the fullest, or the family who found their missing cat after 3 years when it showed up at their vacation rental. Remember Flop the penguin's incredible comeback after his injury? And that guy who broke the world record for most high fives in 24 hours while raising money for charity? These are the stories that remind us the world is still full of wonder and joy. 5 good news stories. Pure positivity 3 times a week. 5 good news stories, available wherever you get your podcasts. 5 good news stories